How's it going, guys? Coffee here. Today I wanted to go over some build planning and build theory crafting for the Infernalist Ascendancy. This class has quite a few things that are going to be really good for it, to give it a lot of different directions it can go. First things first, it does have a bit of a minion focus by getting the Infernal Hound that can be used to basically, it takes 20% of all damage you take, so you can just use it for that. It does actually go onto your it is something that is selectable in the skills, so you can see here that you can support it with things. So if you again want to give it more life, things like that, because it is going to be something that you can basically support. It does have levels as well, so it probably has some sort of attacks or some other things that it does. That's going to be good, so you can just fully lean into, again, being a witch, continuing to be on a full minion build. Alternatively, the other thing it does have is this demon form that you can do, and as you can see here with the demon transformation, there are some extra points behind it that we don't know what they do yet. I presume it's just going to further support demon transformation. The way that demon transformation works is that when you're in this form, it's not supposed to despawn all your minions. There was a post about this on the forums. It basically mentioned that there's a current bug with this right now. So right now when you use a transformation skill, it does unequip your weapons when you transform. And that is basically what happens if when you unequip your weapons, it causes you to go over your spirit limit. So it causes you to go over your spirit limit for those skeletons. That's why they despawned in this video. But they're not supposed to all be despawning like that. So if you actually set whatever, there's going to be ways to where you should still be able to maintain your pets while you're in demon form. They did mention that while you are in demon form, you are going to continue to take a stacking amount of damage that will increase. You'll see these stacks that increase in the upper left. As these go up, you you're building up a stacking damage buff, as well as a stacking attacking cast speed bonus as well. So what that does mean is in order to run that, you are going to need to have a lot of life recovery. So that one is probably going to be a little bit harder to sustain. I'm sure putting those 2 extra points in it probably makes it easier to sustain it longer, things like that. But from what I've been told, that is also supposed to be buffing your pets as well, or your minions rather. So if we actually go here to the Path of Exile Discord here, there was a post from a GGG employee mentioning that, again, there's the issue with the demon form right now, but it is something that they know right now, but you know, it's planned to be fixed, I guess. So they're going to work on it, or whatever you need to do to be able to run some minions with it. So yeah, and Jonathan said that there was specific stuff for minions in the demon form as well. Yeah, he doesn't know the specifics of it. He does know that it's currently bugged, but alas, the last thing that is also on this ascendancy here is the Pyromantic pact. This again does cause your maximum mana to be replaced by maximum infernal flame. This is basically, it's seemingly a bit of like infinite mana, or like an overheat mechanic, where you can kind of spam your skills, and as long as you stop casting for a little bit, you'll drain off all of your flame. But this also does have other implications of, you could also possibly use this explosion right here, right? This take maximum life and energy shield as fire damage when it reaches maximum. This is going to be, of course, affected by your resistance, right? So if you're already at, if you are at 75 or 80% fire resistance, you're only going to take 20% of your life instead of, you know, taking 100% of your life, of course. There is some, quite a bit of max resistance on the tree. So you can see here, there's right here, +1 to max res here. There's I believe there's a max res somewhere else around here. Where did it go? I think it's up here somewhere. +1 all max res up here as well for under enhanced barrier. And then, right here, this one down here, Unnatural Resilience. We probably won't be pathing down to that on this character, but there is extra fire resistance out there for the tree. So something to do keep in mind is the way that minions work. I believe Jonathan said it's 4 seconds after the last one of those minions has died. So if you're just using the hound itself, after the hound dies, it'll be 4 seconds before it will spawn again. With Restless Dead here on the tree, that will go down to 3 seconds. There's probably little nodes right here that also affect this a little bit as well, right? These might be like 5% or 10% are nodes as well. So those can be increased, and then if you've seen the jewels that exist, they do increase the size of non-notables and things like that, so, or the effects of them rather. So there's going to be ways to scale this. You can probably get your minions to spawn pretty fast. So, but yeah, something to do keep in mind here with this Pyromantic pack, where you do take maximum life and energy shield as fire damage, is this is something, there are active spirit gems that can be used to take advantage of the fact that we are taking damage, or that you might be taking damage very frequently, right? So there is Barrier Invocation here, which does take, whenever you get hit, you gain 1 energy for each 5 ES lost damage taken. So if you are self-hitting yourself, you can use this to basically store up energy on Barrier Invocation to trigger things. The other one that is most likely going to be very useful is going to be Cast on Minion Death here. And this mentions gain energy when your minions die based on the defensive power of the minion. The defensive power of the Infernal beast is obviously going to be probably the highest that exists out there, right? So the way that energy works is it will trigger the socketed spells upon reaching the maximum energy required to cast those spells. What that means is, if you can see here, right, it'll trigger all socketed spells and lose all energy on reaching maximum energy. And this one has 10 max energy per whatever amount of cast time of the socketed spells. So what that means is we can probably socket in quite a few spells in this if we want, or put some spells on there, and even do things to basically, if there's things to increase their cast time, other supports. I believe I want to say Spell Echo works. They mentioned that Spell Echo, I believe, increases the cast time of the spell, or cast speed rather, or it makes it cast slower rather, but they will echo. There's no mention there's no mention of this saying it doesn't work with triggers here like it does in PoE. It just says they can't support channeling skills or remote skills. I'd presume remote skills are like mines, basically things like that. So these should work with the triggers, basically, right? It's just going to increase the amount of spirit required in order to get them to pop. So you should be able to use this to actually get a couple casts off of things. There are some supports that can help with, again, exploding your pet quicker here. We have Infernal Legion, which will basically make the dog die very quickly. Hopefully the dog doesn't have any fire res, so we can just get to ensure that the dog will just die every 5 seconds. So that should be really tanky. If not, again, you can always do the same thing with a Spectre. So you could probably do this on every, other classes as well. But I presume the dog is going to be considered more defensive. Maybe not. I mean, maybe Spectres just have really high life. So either way, we did see that the dog itself, again, is supportable on the tree. So we can actually put these on there, put these gems for the skills. So that means I'm curious if the demon form is also supportable, because I mean every skill, even ascendancy skills, seem to be on the tree in some way. So there's going to be some supports that you can actually throw on demon form as well. So it's going to be some interesting applications there. Again, and then for the self-hitting, right? There might be something to do with the self-hitting. Most likely, it's going to be some fire spells that you want to end up doing. There's like fireball or firestorm, something like that. Yeah, pretty much that's kind of where she's at. It does look like she's going to have the flexibility of, again, if you want to play minions on her, you can do that. If you want to really lean into the self-casting with the demon form, you're going to be able to do that. If you want to do some really fun stuff with self-hitting yourself with Pyromantic Pact in order to explode, in order to basically trigger other spells, there's going to be some options there. So pretty much the same thing's going to end up going, I believe, with the tree. Is honestly, when it comes to leveling, I think your first ascendancy is about level 30. So we're still pretty much just going to be leaning into... I feel like Path of Exile 2 is going to be very... require you, or basically you're going to be recommended to just be very flexible with what you are playing. It seems like gear is going to have much higher impact than it ever has before. I mean, for melee players, gear has always had a major impact, but I think for basically everyone, including spellcasters as well, you're basically just going to want to respec on the fly if you end up getting an item that basically tells you, like, hey, you know, you're getting something that you got a really good fire weapon now. You're going to basically swap from cold weapons to fire because of that, because you ended up getting like a +2 fire staff, for example, right? So because of that, we're going to be the same thing where we're going to want to just be pushing all the way up here and then getting our either +1 cold, +1 lightning, or +1 fire, depending on whatever we're playing. But I think that's going to end up being the strongest just because of how strong it seemed like the +1 to levels ended up being in Subtractum's test. So it seems really, really strong to me. I'm thinking that's where it's honestly going to go for at least the spellcasters, especially. I'm going to have to look to see what flexibility options the melee guys and the bow characters have to do after this. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. Let me know if you guys have some cool builds you guys have thought up with the Infernalist as well, and we'll get more details on this as we get more attention to the Ascendancy. But if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below, and other than that, see you in the next one.